Imagine a world where the very act of invention hums with arcane energy, where the blueprints scattered across your workbench might birth a golem guardian or maybe a sky-soaring vehicle, and where your sharpest wit and your cleverest contraction are just as vital as any ancient spell.
Hmm.
What if the ingenuity to create was in itself the most potent form of magic imaginable?
Huh. That really makes me think of this recent D&D session that went completely off the rails, but like in the best possible way. Our party was trying to intercept a shipment on a lightning rail. You know, those amazing magically propelled trains that are so Eberron.
Oh yeah, totally iconic.
Right. Well, predictably, things went sideways pretty fast. My character, she's an artificer, got separated from the others, facing down security forces and just a whole mess of unexpected problems. My prepared spells, they felt kind of useless against, like, exploding arcane conduits and magically reinforced doors.
So what did you do?
It turned into this frantic, honestly kind of exhilarating improvisation. I was literally scavenging parts from the wrecked train car, mixing alchemical stuff I had with bits of tech I pulled off the walls, just desperately trying to cobble together solutions. It was that pure artificer thing, understanding the magic principles and then applying practical engineering to make something new, right there on the spot.
Okay.
And the thrill when some improbable gadget actually worked and, turned things around, that's what really drove home that blend of magic and tech for me. It wasn't just casting a spell. It was the spark of creation being the magic.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit, because what you're describing feels absolutely core to the spirit of Eberron, and this new release, Forge of the Artificer,
Yeah.
seems really set on reigniting that avant-garde feel. This isn't just another supplement, is it? Feels more like a deliberate return to that innovative heart of the setting, where arcane ideas and tech just collide.
Precisely. Think of Eberron as this realm where, Pulp Adventures smashes into noir mystery, and it's all powered by magic that works almost like technology. This release isn't just dropping a few new monsters or options. It's really trying to amplify that unique tone and give DMs and players a really comprehensive toolkit.
So like a sandbox for storytelling and mechanical upgrades.
Exactly. It's an expansive canvas for DMs wanting to weave those tales of mystery and arcane science, and it's also this rich playground for players who love pushing character creation boundaries through invention and, well, sheer cleverness.
Right at the heart of it all, the Artificer class. The material we've looked at really hammers home how it's been reforged for Eberron. This sounds like more than just a mechanics update, though. It feels like it's offering a new way to even think about campaigns and character arcs, all centered on invention.
Yeah, totally. The Artificer changes go way beyond just tweaking abilities. The class is being set up as fundamental to the kinds of stories Eberron excels at. The book even has these new campaign frameworks built specifically around inventive problem solving and the consequences of arcane tech.
And it works with the new rules.
Crucially, yes, it's all integrated with the updated 2024 core D&D rules. That should make it pretty accessible and exciting for Eberron veterans and for people totally new to the setting. It really empowers world builders to craft campaigns where making stuff, applying arcane science, that's central to the plot.
So, okay, what's actually in Forge of the Artificer? What kind of tools and toys are we getting in this meticulously layered book?
Oh, it's packed. For players, a big highlight is the new Cartographer subclass. What's cool about the Cartographer is how it changes exploration. It's not just following a map, it's actively shaping the world with spell-anchored mapping. Players get real agency in navigation.
Spell-anchored mapping, how does that work?
Think like creating temporary magical reference points, maybe opening dimensional shortcuts, manipulating the battlefield using magical map making. It's pretty clever. Then, the 4 classic Artificer subclasses, Alchemist, Armorer, Artillerist, Battlesmith, they've all been retooled. They get bold new infusions, which are those temporary magic buffs Artificers put on items, and more refined identities that really fit that Eberron Arcano tech vibe.
And it's not just the Artificer getting love, right? The sources mentioned revised species and backgrounds tied into Eberron's specific flavor.
That's right. We get significant updates for the Warforged. You can really lean into their artificial nature, maybe play an experimental detective sorting out their own existence. Changelings are even better suited for deep cover spy stuff. Shifters, Kalishtar, Goblinoids also get updates connecting them to Eberron's themes like transformation and artifice.
And backgrounds.
17 new ones. And they're not generic. They're designed with built-in plot hooks for noir, pulp, intrigue, invention. Think like inquisitive field reporters digging into city secrets, or maybe lightning rail operators who know things they shouldn't, they immediately suggest stories.
Okay, mechanically speaking, what about new feats and spells for players who like digging into that side of things?
You get 28 new feats grounded in the lore, including updated dragon marks. For anyone unfamiliar, dragon marks are like hereditary magic tattoos granting specific powers tied to powerful families in Eberron. These feats aren't just stat bumps, they really deepen that magic meets machine flavor.
And spells.
A whole bunch of inventive new ones. Things like sigil maps for navigation help, spells that conjure temporary elemental weapons, even little gadget spells, think disposable tools for specific situations. Plus some really cool new clockwork-inspired magic items that just scream Eberron.
Nice. And for the dungeon masters, what's in it for them to build these Eberron campaigns?
DMs get a ton. Over 20 new monsters, including living spells that have somehow gained physical form, massive warforged titans from the last war, and aberrant creatures warped by Eberron's unique magic. These really capture the specific threats of the setting.
Anything else?
Yeah, the 3 campaign templates, Noir, Pulp, and Thriller. These give you frameworks for running adventures with different tones and pacing. And there's this neat concept of bastions, customizable bases like airship layers or arcane labs that can become really central, dynamic parts of your campaign. Plus, of course, maps and VTT assets, detailed lightning rail maps, city grids, all designed to immerse players visually.
Let's circle back to the Artificer for a sec. The write-ups call each subclass a narrative experiment tied to Eberron's arcane mad science. That sounds pretty dramatic. What makes this reforged Artificer feel so, well, Eberron?
It's how tightly the mechanics and the narrative potential are woven together. Take the Cartographer again. Their spell mapping isn't just about finding your way. It's literally about shaping the world. Creating temporary portals for tactical movement, using Wayfinder's sigils to navigate tricky spots, it turns exploration into this active, creative thing.
And the gadget spells.
Right. These consumable gadget spells like magical flashbangs or quick climbing aids, they really push that on-the-fly invention that defines the class. Even their survey rituals let them identify and maybe mess with environmental hazards, making the terrain itself a tool. Add in tactical map overlays and clockwork familiars for scouting and repairs. The Cartographer becomes this super versatile explorer and controller focused on cleverness.
So it sounds like less focus on just having the right spell prepared and more on encouraging creative thinking.
Exactly. The new infusions, the tools, they're all meant to spark that creativity. The Artificer here is incredibly adaptable support, frontline, control, whatever, depending on how you tinker and what you invent. It really rewards players who think beyond just spell slots, players who see every problem as a chance to build a clever solution. It's about role-playing that inventive mind and using the mechanics smartly, in combat and out.
Okay, so if I want to build a character that feels like Eberron, how do these revised species and backgrounds help with that?
Well, the revised species give you these starting points already steeped in the setting. A warforged wrestling with, what it means to be alive, but changeling using their powers for espionage. These characters inherently reflect Eberron's unique angles.
And the backgrounds add plot.
Yeah, the 17 backgrounds are designed as plot in motion. Picking one isn't just about skills, it's about getting instant story hooks and mechanical perks tied to those hooks. Then you add Dragonmark feats. Choosing one has real social and mystical weight in Eberron. It shapes your character's place in the world just as much as it gives you powers.
Can you give maybe an example or two of how those pieces might fit together?
Sure. You could totally have a warforged who used to be a soldier, now working as a salvage cartographer, maybe driven to map the Mournland they once fought in, or like a changeling undercover journalist using their shape-shifting to expose corruption in a Dragonmark house. Maybe a goblin lightning rail driver who uses their knowledge of the rails for smuggling or spying. Lots of possibilities for really layered characters whose whole deal ties directly into Eberron.
Okay, let's talk adventures. These 3 campaign templates, fantasy noir, pulp epic, political thriller. How do they actually help a DM run different styles of games in Eberron?
They're great blueprints for DMs. Fantasy Noir helps you build that atmosphere mystery, shady dealings, secrets in the mage-lit alleys. It gives you story prompts, tips for tweaking encounters to fit the mood, a case system for investigations, and stresses those complex NPC motivations.
And the pulp.
That one's all about big action, crazy stunts, world-shaking threats. Think airship chases, daring artifact heists, fighting giant sky krakens, or living spells gone wild. This template focuses on raising the stakes, using the new big monsters, and structuring the campaign around milestones leading to heroic finales.
Political thriller.
That shifts to scheming, alliances, the power plays of the Dragonmark houses, criminal networks. The focus there is on managing secrets, navigating tricky relationships, and using monsters and magic as tools in that political game.
Sounds like they provide structure but aren't rigid boxes.
Exactly. The book even says you can mix and match monsters and items across templates to fit your story. And the Bastion rules let players build and defend their own layers, which can be central no matter the genre. Each template gives you themes, story ideas, and relevant resources, monsters, magic, plot hooks as a solid starting point for your own Eberron game.
The info also mentioned extra goodies, maps, digital dice, and ultimate bundle. How do those fit in?
Right, the Ultimate Bundle aims to boost immersion. You get the Artificers Forged digital dice, they have animated sigils, mechanical looks, very Eberron aesthetic for your virtual roles. And the Eberron Expeditions map pack is huge for VTT users. These aren't generic maps, they're specific Eberron locations, sometimes tailored for different campaign types, airship docks, slums and Sharn, even planar crossings.
And how do digital dice and maps actually help during play?
The dice add that visual flair, seeing arcane runes light up on a crit, or maybe the dice visually showing damage types. It just enhances the atmosphere. The maps are super practical for VTTs. Having detailed, ready-to-go Eberron locations saves DMs prep time and helps players really visualize where they are, whether it's a frantic lightning rail fight or exploring some ruin.
Now, a really key point seemed to be how Forge of the Artificer integrates with the updated 2024 core D&D rules. How's this book actually use those refreshed mechanics?
Yeah, that's crucial. This isn't just old Eberron content slapped onto new rules. It's designed with the refreshed rule set in mind. They focused on backward compatibility, but also made sure everything feels streamlined and works well under the new framework. For the Artificer, that means clearer spellcasting, revised subclass powers that feel more impactful, and new role-playing hooks that fit how people play now.
And player feedback on the 2024 rules influenced this.
Absolutely. You can see it in the revised backgrounds and feats. Feats offer better progression and are tied more into Eberron's lore, giving both mechanics and story hooks. Backgrounds provide starting skills and these unique story privileges that push character-driven plots and give real ties to the world. Even how they handle species is more narrative-focused now, less about rigid stats, more about flavor and flexibility.
Magic items and layers, too.
Yep, the rules for those align with the new systems for attunement, downtime, resource management. It all feels more cohesive.
So it's more than just a paint job. It's Eberron rethought using the 2024 design philosophy.
Exactly. It expands the options, more cool feats, magic, species choices, but keeps things clear and easy to play. It really hits the 2024 goals: better feat scaling, narrative backgrounds, subclasses tied to concept, meaningful downtime, modular campaigns. It gives groups the tools to weave the new core rules right into their Eberron stories, whether they're running a full Eberron campaign or just borrowing cool bits for their own game.
All right, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what are your final takeaways on how Eberron is evolving with Forge of the Artificer?
Eberron's always had this cool niche exploring magic as technology. Forge of the Artificer feels like a big step forward for this setting: more narrative ambition, dapper themes, more mechanical flexibility, bringing the Artificer front and center, focusing on setting specific character choices, providing all these narrative tools. It's a really strong release.
And good for different play styles.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Whether you want gritty noir, high-octane pulp, or complex political maneuvering, the tools are there. It really invites you to personalize Eberron, to tell inventive stories you couldn't tell anywhere else.
Well, this deep dive has barely scratched the surface of what Eberron, Forge of the Artificer, seemed to offer for tabletop gaming. A huge thank you to LitRPG Reads for flagging this awesome info for us, and a special shout out to Paul Bello. He's a fine fellow indeed. Now, for you listening, what parts of this blend of magic and machinery really grab you? What kind of character pops into your head for this world? Definitely head down to the comments below and share your thoughts. We genuinely love to hear what you think.